All right, my book's on Donald Trump's Art of the Deal. In Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, he goes deep into how negotiation and making of deals. Donald Trump made a large sum of money in real estate and mostly in the hotel and hospitality business. Trump's father was in the business of building homes, and later in his career, he made his money by building and renting apartments. His father did not have a formal education and dropped out of school early in life. Trump talks about growing up as a troublemaker and had to always be the center of attention. He talked about how he punched a second grade teacher and gave him a black eye. Because, though he did not know, he punched his teacher because he didn't think his teacher knew anything about music. Trump has stood up and made his opinions in a forceful way. People either love him or hate him according to his words in the book. And it is the same way today as he is our president. People either love Trump or hate him. Trump says in his book that he likes to use his brains instead of his fists to get what he wants. And that is true with his negotiation through his book. Trump has always been a competitor. A story Trump tells in his book shows when he and his brother were young, they both were playing with wooden blocks. Both Trump and his brother were building buildings with these wooden blocks, and Trump ran out of blocks and then started to ask his brother for his. His brother agreed that Donald could have a couple of his blocks, but soon enough, Trump took all of his blocks and built a big, huge building in the center of their room. Trump also goes into how he talks about, he feels good about negotiations and our buildings that he's going to buy. He calls it his gut feeling. Other entrepreneurs have mentioned that also in other books, and even Brian Pope did when he came and spoke with us. He says that when he gets that gut feeling by talking to people and exploring ideas and asking lots of questions about the area where he's going to buy this building or have his potential business, that's when he gets that gut feeling and he feels good about the decision or not. After he has assessed the potential investment through his questions and exploration, he develops a good gut feeling and goes for it. Trump does not like decision making through committees. He says, to me, committees are what insecure people create in order to put off hard decisions. Trump relies on his personal intuition for his success, not his academic credentials. He said most of his success through business is through his gut feeling or personal intuition, and he puts very little emphasis on his academic credentials, even though he went to a high, prestigious school. Another story in his book is when a good friend came up to Trump and asked him had an investment proposal that he wanted to give to him in oil. Trump didn't feel good about the investment, and later his friend lost all his money. And this only confirmed to Trump that his gut feeling is usually pretty right. As mentioned in other books and other entrepreneurs, you usually want to invest what you know and what you're familiar with. Sticking to what you know will pay off in the long run. Another thing that Trump is famous for is thinking big. He's always saying you got to think big to become big. Thinking big will lead you to become more successful without having to work more. In the book, it says it's not how many hours you put in, but it's what you get done while you're working. Trump says through his book that he would skip lunch half the time or eat in his office because he was too busy working. I think the only time he ever went out to lunch was if it was a meeting or a negotiation, and then that was the only time he went out for lunch. Most of the time he ate in his office and it was something simple, just because he was too focused on working. He also says, do not focus on things that do not matter. Trump feels that he is wasting his time if the project is small. So Trump only wants to do large, big projects like big, huge apartment buildings or big hotels or big casinos, things that are going to pay off in the long run. Trump says it takes the same amount of effort to manage 50 tenants as it does 1,200. The 1,200 tenants will make you a lot more money than that of the 50 tenants, so energy is better spent on the larger projects. Trump also tells a story in his book that him and his father bought an apartment building that the old management felt overwhelmed with because they had too many people to manage. Once Trump got the place all cleaned up, he set managers in place and made it profitable, and then he doubled his money on it, an easy investment in his eyes. He also talks about changing your mindset, how to manage projects. Setting small milestones will allow you to feel not as overwhelmed and more in control. So when you're looking at big projects, you want to set up little goals or little milestones, as he put it, in for the long run, so you can achieve the larger picture. He also says if you're going to think, you might as well think big. Most people think small because people are afraid of success, afraid of making decisions, and afraid of winning. And it gives people like Trump an advantage thinking big, because most people want to think small and easy. Thinking big and sharing big plans gets you attention. Back in the 1980s, Trump had plans to build the largest building in the world at the time. He bought the land on Staten Island and held press conferences to get attention. The press and people don't really want to know the details about the big plan. They want to know when it's going to be done and when you're going to execute it, because for them the little details don't matter. It's only when they want to see they want to see it done. And they want to see how it affects them. People are pretty selfish that way. We've also mentioned that in other books and other discussions that we've had in class. He also says if you're going to do something big, make sure that you're the first to do it. No one remembers the second person. So like the first person to walk on the moon, or the first person to break through in an industry like Amazon and Facebook, and you want to be the first one to do it. You don't want to be the second one. You're not as well remembered being the second person to do something. You want to be number one. Thinking big will allow you to be innovative and come up with new ideas that will make you stand out as number one. Also, going back on the attention part, even negative attention is good for your business in a way. Trump has also played negative attention to his advantage with his businesses in New York. It just gets him in the spotlight, gets him in the news, gives him free public relations, free publicity, especially if he can turn bad situations around into good ones. He uses it to his advantage. He also talks about being able to think big takes total focus. Total focus is focusing on what matters in your business and what will make it grow. So, and like in other books that we've also mentioned, you want to focus on one thing and do it well. You don't want to focus on a whole bunch of little things like customer service. If you want to focus on customer service, you want to do it well. I think Trump is focused on providing high quality service and high quality products to his customers, and that's what he does really well. Through his hotels, they're known for the luxury and the high end. And then he says hiring others to take care of and maintaining what you have created will give you more energy and time to make deals that really matter. So once Trump creates things, he likes to put people in place to help maintain or create what his ideas so he can go on to the next project. Trump is, he usually has multiple deals going on at the same time, a lot of business projects. That's why I think he's done really well as being president, because there's so many things going on at once that he can be able to put managers in place to help manage those situations while you can go on to the next great thing and start focusing on solving problems there. Just like mentioned in other classes, the book, The E-Myth, you want to be working on your business and not in it. So Trump is always working on his business and how he can make it bigger and not working in it as a manager. So that's how he's been able to own lots of different apartment buildings and a lot of different casinos around the country. Always anticipate the worst when you're going in negotiations. He quotes, "If you plan on the worst, you can live with the worst. The good will always take care of itself." So he always says, prepare for the worst, because you're already ready to deal with it. And if anything's better than that, then you're going to be happy with it. And if you get turned down, then you're pretty much okay with getting turned down. Trump does believe in the power of positive thinking, but he also believes in the power of negative thinking as well. Like going back to bad PR, bad publicity. Trump has given the opportunity to profit, learn, and persuade others with their opinions, and then with negative publicity, he uses the opportunity to teach and learn from and become better in the future. Publicity allows for you to get into the spotlight. We've already mentioned that earlier in this paper, and get attention either being negative or positive. Trump considers himself very conservative when it comes to business because he does not like to lose money. He does not like to gamble. He is also quoted in the book by saying it is better to own the slot machines than to play the slot machines. He says it's a good business being the house. So he's pretty smart that way. He wants to own the casino. He doesn't want to be playing in the casino. He's the owner of the casino. He's taking people's money. He likes to take calculated risks, and knowing your risk tolerance, it will allow you to succeed in business and not lose large sums of money. So you got to know your own risk tolerance. Some people's $5,000 you're willing to lose. Some people's $10,000. I think it all depends on how much money you're willing to lose and how much you're financially able to lose if you go into a sour negotiation or business deal with somebody. He also talks about being flexible in your negotiations will lead to opportunity. We've also talked about that in class. Be able to give a little bit and be able to gain a little bit. Our win-win situation that we've always talked about. You don't need to know what the other person's win is, but you also need to be able to be flexible so you can also win also. You don't want to be stubborn in any business deals or negotiations, but you also don't want them to take advantage of you. I've also talked about Trump likes to have a lot of balls in the air, and it helps keep new deals going. And he says if one or more fall to the ground, being flexible allows you to go on to the next deal really fast. Being flexible can bring leverage when you're wanting to bring on partners. So Trump, he wanted to build a casino and a hotel in an area where it was going to cost a lot of money. Holiday Inns where Holiday Inns wanted to also go in. So he went up to Holiday Inns and suggested that they own the hotel part and he run the casino part. Holiday Inns doesn't know anything about the casino part, but Trump has already owned a few casinos. So partnering helped him split the costs of his deal, and he used the leverage of knowledge of casino world, and then he allowed Holiday Inns to use their knowledge in the hotel industry. Yes, Trump could have did both the casino and the hotel, but he would have lost money in the long run because the project that he wanted was a lot of money, and he had a lot of other deals going on at the same time that was taking a lot of his capital. He knew if he can get him on board, he can split the costs. He also says know your market and tailor your product will create loyal customers. Trump likes to have very well maintained and clean buildings. By using the very best materials and labor during construction, Trump attracted his target customer. There's a story in the book that someone was going to build this, I think they're called the Island Park or something like that, apartments, and they were going to be more luxurious than Trump's and then cost lower. But Trump he didn't feel threatened at the time because he knew that his buildings were well maintained and theirs would go downhill in a couple years. And he also doesn't care about cost because his customers they're not price sensitive. So they would go to Trump either way just because they're high priced and they know that he'd offer the luxury and cleanliness they're looking for in their apartment buildings, because he'd only use the finest granites and glass and materials to build his apartment buildings and his hotels. He also boasted in his book that he would spend, I think, 50 to 70% more than other landlords in the city maintaining his buildings, just because he knew that's what his target market wanted. His dad was very conservative and would pinch pennies and not want to spend money on things. He'd cut corners, and Trump calls it. But Trump would always want the best of the best. Mar-a-Lago is one of his homes down in Florida, and in the book it said he got it for a deal, but he's going to end up spending 10 times what he paid for Mar-a-Lago when he was done remodeling it, just because he wanted the high end, the best, and he feels that he could get the money back out of it if he were to sell it. By establishing the very best at high pricing, made sure that Trump Tower is positioned and known for being the very best. Wealthy people do not really care for price. They have expectations for cleanliness and luxury in the terms of high end. Trump, I already talked about that. All right. Even though Trump's buildings were very luxurious, he made sure most of his projects were built on time and under budget. He talked about it many times in the book that he would go under budget on a lot of his projects, and he would keep people to tight schedules. He did an ice rink in New York City, and New York City failed on this project and took them. They were into this project billions of dollars in over 6 years of trying to get this project done, and Trump was talking to him, negotiating with him, and trying to get him to finish. Trump wanted to finish the deal for New York City, and after New York's failed so many times, they actually came up to him and wanted him to finish the deal. And Trump said he probably wouldn't make a profit on it, but he just wanted to give back to them. He ended up having to do all the concrete work, and then he was saving money by hiring the very best. Because the city was trying to save money, but they were hiring the wrong people to do the project, and they were not doing it effectively. So they ended up redoing a lot of the ice rink plumbing and concrete and all that stuff. Trump ended up finishing that project on time and under budget. He said management is very important when it comes to conducting large projects. One way Trump saves money is not getting quotes on projects until the blueprints and plans are finalized. So he doesn't want to hire a contractor and give a quote when his architects and engineers haven't finished their blueprints yet. He wants them to give quotes after his final plans are final. When you get a contractor, and they give you a quote before your final plans are drawn and finalized, they can end up charging you more because their quote was off. When you have a final contract and they give you a quote, you can get them to sign a contract saying that's going to cost X amount of money. This helps keep track of where your money is going. Knowing where every penny is going will help those pennies turn into dollars in the long run. When in negotiation, it is helpful to know your strengths and know the other side's weaknesses. In the book, Trump did this countless times, where he would find other people's weaknesses and point out where he could help them out. We know that in our negotiation lectures also, that we need to know everything about our customer. Know where you can provide value for them, either it being financially, or if you have a skill they don't possess and that they could use. By showing where you could provide value will help you negotiate business deals that will benefit both parties. Trump saw potential with old apartment building that was in disrepair, and he knew the owners did not have the resources to update the apartments. He then went to the owner offering to buy the apartment, and they declined time and time again. Finally, after a couple of years went by, the owners of the apartment building were hurting financially, and Trump ended up getting the apartments for less than his initial offer. This goes to show you to be consistent and be willing to wait for those deals to work themselves out. So Trump, he liked to play the waiting game, because he would put the value in their head that their stuff was worth something, and then if they declined further down the line, if you're consistent and being patient, you'll end up getting deals, and sometimes they'll even you'll even pay less for them if they're really hurting for money at the time, or if fines or something come up, then they'll put them in a financial bind. Trump would not be successful if he did not have a great team by his side. Hire the best from the best, then pay them the same and give bonuses based on performance. By hiring the best people and pushing them to do better will help your business and give your employees the want to do better. He was always hiring the best and always kind of helping boost up their pride by telling them they were the best and he expected the best out of them. And he'd also kind of threaten them too and says if you don't get this job on time and under budget, he will never hire them again and they won't have a name. He does use a little harsh business tactics, but in the long run it works to get your costs down and to be able to get the best out of your employees. By wanting the best out of your employees and holding them to high standards will create a healthy culture for your business. You always want to better people. It's good for your business. We learned about the firing the lower 10% of your business or the 20% of your business and sending them on their way. It helps your culture out. You want the best of the best in your business. I feel that Trump is a winner and a success because he never gave up and he found his strengths early in life and used them to his advantage. Becoming a natural negotiator helped Donald Trump become a billionaire by bringing value to others and providing value to where he knew what he was doing. Know what you are good at and use it to create value. Brian Pope also talked about that everyone's born with gifts and we need to use them to our advantage. Don't let anyone else know your gifts, not even your spouse, but use them to your advantage to make money and help bring value to the world. But life's not always about money, it's about helping others. All right, thank you.